Well, we've talked about what search engine optimization is. I hope you've looked at that in the past. What goes into search engine optimization? How do you do search engine optimization? Well, there's some good resources out there. Moz.com is a good one, right? So what goes into SEO? Quality of your traffic, the quantity of the traffic, the organic results. This is really what weighs into SEO. Social metrics play, and keep in mind that this is from 2013, so it's definitely changed, and even back then nobody really knows. But domain level link authority features, the quantity and number of links that go to your website. So if somebody links to you, that's a really good thing as long as they're a trusted site. For instance, if you go and put a bunch of links from bad places or not relevant places, you'll see like a forum link on Reddit, right? And people might put their links in here. Hey, look, this is a link scheme. And actually, Reddit isn't a bad place to have a link, but you might have gone to like music forums, and you saw this a lot more in the past, that Jay-Z's music, and then people are talking about the concert, and somebody says something about, I like this concert. Also, here is a link if you need to get a lawyer because you were at the concert and got arrested or something. And it's a link to their site, and people used to do this all the time, and they used to spam and flood the entire internet with these links that were not relevant, not good. So good links going in, and the trust features. So having a link from like a .gov is really big, because .gov can only be purchased by the U.S. government, right? A .edu can only be something that's sort of approved by the school. It's very trusted, right? But anybody can buy a bunch of .coms and build links. So people say, why don't they do that? Well, there's a lot of things that go into the trust from those links. There's also a lot of things that go into the trust of your domain. You're not going to get a page 1 ranking if you have owned your domain for 2 days. It's just not going to happen. The length of time that your domain has been in existence is important as a trust factor for Google. Page level keywords and content features, agnostic features, domain level brand features. What are these things? Well, the keyword agnostic features are like the content length, the load speed, uniqueness. You want to have unique content on your site. I'll do a search for you. What is... This usually will have something, not gaming casinos, but usually you find things with a lot of companies that do shady things, and without showing like porn to you, which is 90% of where you'll see it, and this is not. I mean, this is going to be all the news. You might see something. Let's just type in a dirty word. No, I'm not even going to do that. You might see something sometime where you get to the end of a search and it says X amount of results have been omitted. What is that, and why is that? Well, usually if you click on those omitted searches, it's just duplicate content from different pages on the internet that's exactly the same, so Google filters those out. Example of... If you haven't seen it before, it can make sure that you get obscured from a search, and so you might see a bunch of companies that write the same content on their page, and they can't understand why they're not getting good results. End of the day, don't just steal content. Also, when you do content on your own page, make sure that you're not just changing out one or two words, right? So you might have seen a company that does, we'll say, again, water damage restoration, and they've got a Garner page and a Cary page, and all they've done is switched out those two city names, like for Garner and Cary. Everything else is 100% the same. That's bad. Brand features offline usage, mentions in the news and media. So Google knows what your name is, right? And if you've done things right, you'll have something called an NAP, name, address, and place, right? Wait, what does NAP stand for? Name, address, phone. Sorry, yeah. What Google does is, it looks to see if that's sort of consistent across the internet. And sometimes you have additional locations, and as long as those locations are legit and there's mentions of them elsewhere, that can help you bump up your ratings. But if you put in something that, the name, the address, and the phone number are completely different than something else across the web, then it's going to think that's kind of sketchy, right? So you want to make sure like all of your listings are the same. Now it's very hard to make sure that all your listings are the same. You can buy something called Yext. Yext is pretty expensive if you have a problem with this already, but it allows you to fix your listings across the web. It's like $100 or $150 a month. If you haven't gotten a bunch of listings on the web yet, it's something that you can just make sure you do the right way. Just doing that, though, again, is not, those links, and that fits into a couple of different places because they do count sort of as backlinks too. Just doing that is not the entire battle. As you can see, there's a heck of a lot that goes into everything. What I'm going to tell you is everything else in the entire world that you do is important, but the trust of your domain names, the age, you have no control over. If you look at the rest of, the SEO pie, domain level keyword usage, so, maybe you are a company that does, again, water damage restoration. You see water damage Garner, right? Water damage Garner NC. Garner water damage restoration. So, if we do look at that. Just by that change, this jumped up into the first place position. Do you see that? So that's what they're talking about over here, partial match keywords in the domains and URLs. But that's just 6.98% of the puzzle according to these people. So why did that change them from number 4 to number 1? Well, it takes into account the number of links that are going into that site, how long that site has been around, and this one I know has been around for the last 10, 20 years as a different site, but when we migrated it to the new name for the website, we told Google, hey, this is the new name for that website. We come over here, we look at the page level keywords and content features. Well, if we go in here, what's the first thing we see? Water damage, restoration, water removal, and Garner NC, followed by a call to action. And the rest of the content down here, you've got your H1 headers, and it's important. Some people say that it's not important to tag those, but I think that Google does place a little bit more emphasis if it's an H1 or an H2 than if it's the rest of the body. But you don't want to have everything be an H1 at all. So you look and you see it's like 15%. So backlinks are saying is 19%, keywords are saying is 15%, but then keyword agnostic features like uniqueness, so it's really 25% there. Plus that keyword matching in the URL and domain level keyword agnostic features, the length of it. So if it's a too long domain name, that can be bad. So your on-page stuff, really, you're looking at about 30 or 40% of the puzzle, and that's, I believe, still true today. What I've noticed is that if you do everything else and your content on your page is terrible or non-existent or not about that, then you're not going to have any luck with SEO as well. Furthermore, every picture, every button, you see I hover over that, Restore Pro Reconstruction in Garner for emergency water damage and restoration and water removal. That is extra SEO. Up here, you hover over this, emergency water damage restoration, repair in Garner and C. So it's telling you the title of this specific page, and you can look, you can add, these are little buttons with images, you can add alt text to that image. And then we've got a footer. In the footer, fire, smoke, and water damage, mold remediation, Raleigh, and C is the overarching footer. Is global, right? So having that there, it's not really duplicate content because it's a footer, but it's a good place to add extra keywords. You want to write your content with the understanding that a lot of people aren't going to read all of this. But it's got to be accurate, because somebody might say, oh, they're superior, and read this paragraph, or somebody might come down here and read this paragraph. Within the website itself, like the number of links going from different pages gives you sort of a page power. If you type site : Trust Restore Pro or whatever your domain name is, it'll tell you the number of results, and sometimes it's indexing pictures. You want that number to be higher as long as you have the content to support that, right? There's a site called siteliner.com. And this is from an internal perspective. It'll tell you which pages are the most powerful pages, right? Well, how does it determine what the most powerful pages are? Well, let's go ahead and click on your pages. Well, the home page has a 100% page power. The about page is 50%, 62%. How does it weight this? Well, it takes a look at the number of the words on the page, but more importantly, how many pages actually link to those other pages? How far down the rabbit hole is it, right? So if you look at a URL, this is the first page. This is sort of a child of that first page, and this is a child of the child. You can go further and further down that. Like you could have which we don't have, so it's going to give me a 404 error. But if it was there, you see it becomes a longer and longer domain name. The closer to the front it is, the more powerful it is. And keep in mind that every single page has this logo that usually links over to your site main page, and that you should always see your home page being the most powerful page. Got to go back to SiteLiner now. So, if there's a page that's important, you want to link to that from a lot of different pages. So if we go to the home page here, there's a link, there's a link, there's a link. These things are links. Some of those links are meant to get a lot of clicks, and some of the links, it doesn't matter necessarily if you click on them. But we want Google to know that Raleigh, Durham, Cary, Wake Forest, and Garner, these are 5 of their areas. We want them to know that those are important areas. We've got a whole service areas page, right? It's got a list down here as well. And you'll notice that when I click on Cary from this, it takes out that service area because we just want it to say Cary. It doesn't need to be further down because we want this to rank higher. In fact, If you were to run the report, I'm sure you'd see that service areas was lower than the rest of these. From here, we point to other pages. We point back to the home page, and this is fire, smoke, mold remediation. So over here we've got it going to the carry water damage. Let's go into carry water damage. You'll also see that it goes back to the fire and smoke, and this one because it's giving those some power as well. So the number of internal links can tell Google what should be ranked higher on your site. How many people are tweeting and talking about you, that does play into things as long as people are going in. But the one that's actually pretty important is this user usage and traffic query data. What does that mean? If I do a search in Google for and I mistakenly, I click on this Home Advisor one. I'm like, I didn't want Home Advisor, and I click back. It's bad. Why is that bad? Well, because it means that I went and I didn't find what I wanted in that search, right? If enough people do that, and they don't click around or contact you or stay on the page for a while, it sends a message to Google that this is maybe not something that people are actually looking for. And you'll find that sometimes, for some reason you start ranking on a random keyword. Garlic powder was one that was very confusing for me. This is another one of my customers. Like, all these things here are correct. On the images page over here, this is one of these is the one that's on my customer's website that has them ranked pretty high. Or I think it was, ground garlic. And you did this. My customer, it comes up number 3, and so they're like, why are we ranking on that? It's because nobody's doing SEO for something like ground garlic. The point is that if you happen to be ranking on something like you do water damage, and you happen to be ranking on phone water damage or something, and you don't do that at all, and people click through, well, eventually when they do that search term for phone water damage, and they click and they go back, you're going to fall off those rankings pretty quickly. It's good. That's how it's supposed to be. So, the rest of it is, your page load speed, which you don't have a lot of control over, but it's important for you to make sure that you're on the right server. You will see, your social metrics. You can be on social media yourself, and if you're posting well and you have a good social media strategy, you can get people to be talking about that. That can help your SEO because you're bringing people in, and it's what they want to see when they get that link. The mentions of your domain name, like offline in the media, hey, if you can get press releases out there, great. Your content length, make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that the readability, uniqueness, and also where the content is in there. If you just write a bunch of fake keywords all over the place, or stuff a bunch of keywords in there, it's going to be bad. And then, your backlinks, right? And the quality of those backlinks. Really, you have control just over your on-page content and the tags that you set up. But if you start doing that, right, you're ahead of the game for a lot of people that don't know how to do it. And that means you absolutely must do the content properly before you do sort of anything else. And it means all the tags, like, if we go back to the Bracco.com mine, web design and digital marketing services, Raleigh, NC. And if you go to website design in Raleigh, NC, those snippets have to be the best. They have to work well. There are ways to do that through WordPress. It's not easy to do, but there's a lot that goes into it. And remember, the content that's on the pages that are the most powerful needs to be the most important content on your website. If you have a website that has a front page that just has pictures and no content, or it's just like a splash page, it can hurt your overall SEO. Make sure that you do really well there. And then, on the child pages, they should be great too, but if you don't care as much about like the 5 pages down, like slash website design slash Raleigh slash WordPress slash CMS or something like that, doesn't need to be as good as the stuff that's up front, although it should all be good and all be relevant. So as you can see, SEO is complicated. There's a lot that goes into it. This number has changed, and this doesn't even take into account the Google Maps. It's an ever-changing thing. So if you're going to be looking into SEO, definitely worth talking to an agency about it, somebody who's knowledgeable. Try not to get into a contract, and understand that SEO takes a while to start working, usually about 3 to 6 months before you start seeing real effects. In the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to track your SEO and see how you're doing without having to rely on another company that could be fudging the data. So thanks for watching.